The radio on Min-jun Park's belt crackled to life at exactly 2 in the morning. He was drinking coffee in the station kitchen when the call came through. A building was on fire. A big one, 12 stories tall, downtown Los Angeles. People trapped inside. Min-jun grabbed his gear and ran. He had been a firefighter for 8 years, but his heart still pounded every time that alarm went off. Within 90 seconds, he was on the truck with his team, sirens wailing as they raced through empty streets. The orange glow appeared in the sky before they even reached the address. Min-jun saw it through the truck window and his stomach dropped. This was bad, really bad. Flames were shooting out of multiple windows, lighting up the night like a terrible sunrise. When they arrived, chaos waited for them. People were screaming from windows. Some were waving shirts and towels, begging for help. Black smoke poured into the sky so thick it blocked out the stars. The heat hit Min-jun's face even from across the street, like standing too close to an oven. Captain Seo-yun Kim was already barking orders. She was a tough woman with 20 years of experience. Nothing scared her, but even she looked worried tonight. "Min-jun, take your team and start evacuations from the east side," she shouted over the noise. "We've got people on floors 2 through 5. Move fast." Min-jun nodded and ran toward the building with 3 other firefighters. The lobby was filled with smoke. He could barely see 2 feet in front of his face. His breathing mask fogged up as he moved through the heat. They found a family of 4 huddled near the stairs. A man was carrying his elderly mother. His wife held their crying baby. "Follow me," Min-jun said, guiding them back outside. "Stay low. Keep moving." They made 3 more trips into the building. Each time, Min-jun brought out more people. An old man with a dog. 2 college students who had been asleep when the fire started. A woman who kept asking about her cat. Every rescue felt like a small victory, but Min-jun knew there were still many people inside. On his 4th trip out, Min-jun paused to catch his breath. He pulled off his mask for just a moment and looked up at the building. That was when he saw it. On the 8th floor, 3 windows in a row were flashing with light. Not fire, something else. It took him a second to realize what he was seeing. The lights were forming letters. S, then O, then S. Someone was using a flashlight or a phone to send a signal. Someone was trapped up there and trying to get attention. Min-jun ran to Captain Seo-yun. "Captain, 8th floor. 3 windows on the north side. Someone signaling SOS. Seo-yun looked up, shielding her eyes from the smoke. She saw the flashing lights, too. Her jaw tightened. The stairwell collapsed on floor 7. "We can't reach them that way." "What about the ladder?" Min-jun asked. "It won't reach. Not on that side." "The truck can't get close enough because of the other buildings." Min-jun felt helpless. He looked back up at those flashing lights. Someone up there was fighting to survive. They were smart enough to signal for help, but there was no way to reach them. More fire trucks arrived. Ambulances lined the street. Police had blocked off the area, pushing back the crowd of neighbors who had gathered to watch. News vans were already setting up, their cameras pointed at the burning building. Min-jun stood there staring at the 8th floor when he heard tires screech behind him. Everyone turned. A black SUV had stopped right at the police barricade. It was expensive looking, the kind of car a rich person would drive. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out. He was huge, built like a mountain, wearing a black t-shirt and jeans. Even in the dark and smoke, Min-jun recognized him instantly. Everyone did. It was John Cena, the famous wrestler. Cena walked straight toward the fire line. A police officer tried to stop him, but Cena kept moving. He walked with purpose, like a man on a mission. "Sir, you can't be here," the officer said, putting a hand on Cena's chest. "I can help," Cena said. His voice was calm but firm. "I was driving home. I saw the fire. What do you need?" Captain Seo-yun approached him. She looked annoyed. "This isn't a movie set, Mr. Cena. This is a real emergency. You need to stay back." "I understand that," Cena said, not backing down. "I'm asking what you need." "I can help." "We don't need celebrities getting in the way," Seo-yun said sharply. She turned to walk away, but Min-jun was still thinking about that SOS signal, about the people trapped on the 8th floor, about how they had no way to reach them. He stepped forward. "Captain, wait," Min-jun said. "We have people trapped on 8. The SOS signal. We can't reach them." Cena's head snapped toward Min-jun. "8th floor?" "Which side?" Min-jun pointed. "North side. 3 windows." Someone signaling with a light. Cena looked up. His eyes were sharp, focused. He was scanning the building like a soldier might scan a battlefield. Then his gaze moved to the left. There was a construction crane next to the building. It had been there for weeks. The building owners were doing renovations before the fire broke out. That crane, Cena said, pointing. It can reach the 8th floor. Seo-yun followed his gaze. That's too dangerous. The crane isn't meant for rescue operations. But it could work, Cena said. He looked at her directly. I've trained for situations like this. Through my work with Make-A-Wish, with military families, with first responders, I'm not just some actor. I can handle stress. I can handle physical challenges. Let me help. Seo-yun studied him. Min-jun could see her mind working, weighing the options. Time was running out. The fire was spreading. Those people on the 8th floor wouldn't last much longer. It's too risky for a civilian, Seo-yun said, but her voice had less certainty now. Everything about this is risky, Cena replied, but doing nothing guarantees those people die. I'm here. I'm ready. Use me. The SOS signal kept flashing in the windows above. 3 lights in the darkness, spelling out a desperate plea. Min-jun spoke up again. Captain, if we're going to try this, I should go with him. I'm trained for this. We can do it together. Seo-yun looked at the building, then at Cena, then at Min-jun. She closed her eyes for just a second. When she opened them, she had made her decision. Fine, she said, but you follow my orders exactly. One wrong move and I pull you both back. Understood? Yes, ma'am, Cena said. Understood, Min-jun agreed. Seo-yun grabbed her radio. Ji-woo, get to that crane now. We're going to attempt a rescue on 8. A voice crackled back. Copy that, Captain. Min-jun felt his heart racing. This was crazy. This was dangerous. This might not even work. But it was a chance. It was hope. Cena was already moving toward the crane. He moved fast for such a big man. Min-jun ran to catch up with him. You sure about this? Min-jun asked as they ran. Cena looked at him. There was no fear in his eyes. Only determination. Those people up there are counting on someone to try. Might as well be us. The crane operator, Ji-woo Choi, was already climbing into the machine when they arrived. He was young, maybe 25, with nervous energy. I've never used this for a rescue before, Ji-woo admitted. First time for everything, Cena said. He was already putting on a safety harness that one of the firefighters handed him. Min-jun strapped on his own gear. He gave Cena a breathing mask and fire-resistant gloves. They were too small for Cena's huge hands, but he made them work. The crane's engine roared to life. Ji-woo tested the controls. The metal arm began to move, swinging slowly toward the burning building. Min-jun and Cena climbed onto the crane's platform. It was a small square of metal with railings around the edges, barely enough room for 2 men. It swayed as the crane lifted them off the ground. Below, the crowd watched. Cameras filmed. Captain Seo-yun stood with her arms crossed, looking up at them. The crane moved higher. 5 floors, 6 floors, 7 floors. The heat intensified. Min-jun could feel it through his protective gear. The smoke was thick, burning his eyes even through his mask. 8 floors. They were level with the windows now. The SOS signal had stopped flashing. Maybe the people inside had seen them coming. Maybe they had run out of battery. Maybe something worse had happened. The crane swung closer to the building. Metal groaned. The platform swayed in the hot wind created by the fire. Min-jun gripped the railing tight. Beside him, Cena stood steady, focused on the windows ahead. They were 20 feet away. Then 10, then 5. Min-jun could see into the apartment now. Through the smoke and broken glass, he saw shapes. People. They were still alive. Almost there, Ji-woo's voice said through the radio. Hold on, the platform lurched closer. Min-jun reached out, ready to break through the remaining glass, ready to bring those people out, ready to see if this impossible rescue could actually work. The crane platform swung closer to the burning building. Min-jun could feel the heat like a physical wall pressing against him. Even through his protective gear, sweat poured down his face. Beside him, John Cena stood completely still, his eyes locked on the windows ahead. 2 more feet. Ji-woo's voice crackled through the radio. The young crane operator sounded nervous, but his hands were steady. The platform moved inch by inch toward the building. Min-jun pulled out his axe. The window in front of them was already cracked from the heat, but there was still glass in the frame. He would need to clear it before they could get anyone out safely. Ready? Minjun asked Cena. Ready, Cena replied. The platform lurched forward one last time. It was close enough now. Minjun swung his axe and the remaining glass shattered. He knocked away the sharp edges, clearing a space big enough for people to climb through. Smoke poured out of the opening. It was so thick that Minjun couldn't see anything inside at first. He pulled his breathing mask tighter and leaned forward. Fire department, he shouted into the apartment. If you can hear me, make a sound. For a terrible moment there was nothing. Just the roar of flames from somewhere else in the building, and the crackling of burning wood. Minjun's heart sank. Maybe they were too late. Maybe the people inside had already been overcome by smoke. Then he heard it. A weak cough. Then a child's voice, small and scared. Help us. Please help us. Minjun climbed through the window. Cena started to follow, but Minjun held up a hand. Let me check it first. The floor might not be stable. He stepped carefully into the apartment. The smoke was overwhelming. Even with his mask, his eyes burned. He dropped to his knees where the air was slightly clearer and looked around. The apartment was destroyed. Furniture was overturned. Pictures had fallen off the walls. Part of the ceiling had collapsed in one corner, and huddled against the far wall near the floor, he saw them. A woman in her 30s, barely conscious. Two small children pressed against her, both coughing hard, and an old man lying nearby, his leg twisted at a wrong angle. I found them, Minjun called back to Cena. 4 people, 1 injured. 2 kids. Cena didn't wait for permission. He climbed through the window and dropped to his knees beside Minjun. When he saw the family, his expression hardened with determination. The woman looked up at them. Her eyes were red and watering. She had tied a wet cloth around her nose and mouth, but it wasn't doing much good. When she saw Minjun's uniform and Cena's face, hope flickered in her eyes. My children, she whispered in heavily accented English. Please save my children. We will, Minjun said firmly. We're getting all of you out. He moved to the woman first. Her name tag on the door said Lee, so he called her Mrs. Lee. She was weak, having breathed in too much smoke. Her 2 children were a boy about 7 and a girl about 5. They were scared but alert. The old man was worse off. Minjun checked him quickly. His name was Mr. Sung, Mrs. Lee's neighbor. He had a broken leg, probably from falling debris. His breathing was shallow. We need to move fast, Cena said, looking around. Through the smoke, they could see orange light flickering in the hallway. The fire was getting closer. How do we do this? Minjun did quick math in his head. 4 people to rescue. The crane platform could hold 4 people safely, including weight. But that meant him and Cena, plus the 4 victims. That was 6 people, too many. The platform would be overloaded. They might all fall. We have a problem, Minjun said. The platform can only hold 4 people safely. That's including us. Cena looked at the family, then at the platform visible through the window, then back at Minjun, his jaw set firmly. Then we make 2 trips, Cena said. Send them down first. We'll wait here for the platform to come back. That could take 5 minutes, Minjun said. Maybe more. This apartment might not last that long. Then we'll make it last, Cena said simply. But Minjun saw a better option, a more dangerous option. Or one of us stays on the building ledge while the other goes down with them. Then the platform comes right back up for whoever stayed. Cena looked at the narrow concrete ledge outside the window. It was maybe 6 inches wide. Barely enough room to stand. 8 stories above the ground. With fire and smoke all around. I'll do it, Cena said immediately. I'll stay on the ledge. You're a civilian, Minjun protested. I should be the one to stay. I'm bigger and stronger, Cena said. I can hold on longer if something goes wrong. You're trained to handle the family. You need to go down with them and make sure they're secure. It makes sense. Minjun wanted to argue, but Cena was right. They were wasting time debating. Fine, but you hold on tight. Don't be a hero. Cena almost smiled. Too late for that. They worked together to get the family ready. Mrs. Lee was first. She could barely stand, so Cena lifted her easily and carried her to the window. Minjun climbed out onto the platform first, then helped Cena pass Mrs. Lee through. Next were the children. The little girl Minseo was crying. The boy Daejung was trying to be brave, but his hands were shaking. Minjun spoke softly to them as he helped them onto the platform. You're doing great, he said. Just a little ride down and you'll be safe. Your mom is right here with you. Mr. Sung was the hardest. His broken leg meant he couldn't climb out on his own. Cena had to lift him carefully through the window while Min-jun pulled from the other side. The old man groaned in pain but didn't cry out. With all four on the platform, it was crowded. Min-jun had to arrange them carefully, making sure everyone was secure. Mrs. Lee sat with her back against the railing. Her children pressed against her. Mr. Sung lay across one corner, his injured leg stretched out. "We're ready," Min-jun called to Ji-woo through the radio. "Take us down slow. We're at weight limit." "Copy that," Ji-woo replied. Min-jun looked at Cena, who was now standing on the narrow window ledge. The wrestler had both hands gripping the window frame, his feet balanced carefully on the concrete. He looked uncomfortable but stable. "You good?" Min-jun asked. "I'm good," Cena said. "Get them down safe." The platform began to descend. Min-jun kept his arms around the children, making sure they didn't move. Mrs. Lee watched the building above them, her eyes on the window where Cena remained. The descent felt like it took forever, but it was probably only 2 minutes. The platform swayed gently as Ji-woo lowered them. Min-jun could hear the crowd below shouting and cheering as they saw the rescue happening. When they reached the ground, paramedics rushed forward. They had stretchers ready. Mrs. Lee and Mr. Sung were placed on stretchers immediately. The children were wrapped in blankets and checked by medics. "Good work," Captain Seo-yun said, gripping Min-jun's shoulder. "Now get back up there and get Cena." "Already on it," Min-jun said, stepping back onto the platform. But as Ji-woo started to raise the platform again, something happened. There was a loud bang from inside the building. An explosion of some kind, maybe a gas line rupturing, maybe something else igniting. The whole building shook. Min-jun looked up in horror. Smoke and flames burst from the 8th floor window, the window where Cena had been standing. "Faster!" Min-jun shouted into the radio. "Go faster." The platform rose quickly, too quickly. It swayed wildly. Min-jun held onto the railing with both hands. His heart pounded. Please let Cena be okay. Please let him still be there. As they approached the 8th floor, Min-jun peered through the smoke. He couldn't see the window clearly. The flames were too bright. The smoke too thick. Then he saw movement. A shape clinging to the wall. It was Cena, but he had moved. He wasn't at the window anymore. He was at a window one apartment over, about 20 feet to the left. Ji-woo, move the platform left, Min-jun called. About 20 feet. The crane arm swung slowly. Through the smoke, Min-jun could now see Cena more clearly. The wrestler was hanging from a windowsill, his feet dangling. The ledge he had been standing on must have given way, or the heat had forced him to move. "Hang on," Min-jun shouted. "We're almost there." But then Cena turned his head. He was looking into the apartment behind him. And even from this distance, Min-jun could see Cena's expression change. He saw something inside that window. Before Min-jun could say anything, before he could warn him not to do it, Cena pulled himself up and climbed into the apartment. "No!" Min-jun yelled. "Cena, what are you doing?" But Cena was already inside, disappearing into the smoke. The platform reached the window. Min-jun didn't hesitate. He climbed through, following Cena. Inside, the heat was even worse than before. This apartment was in worse shape than Mrs. Lee's. The fire was closer here. "Cena!" Min-jun shouted. "Where are you?" "Here," came the reply. "I found someone." Min-jun followed the voice. Through the smoke, he saw Cena kneeling beside a large bookshelf that had fallen over. There was someone underneath it. Min-jun could see a hand, a leg. "A teenager, maybe 16 or 17 years old. He's trapped," Cena said. "I can't lift this alone." Min-jun dropped down beside him. The bookshelf was heavy, solid wood, probably an antique, and it had fallen at an angle, pinning the boy underneath. The teenager wasn't moving. His eyes were closed. "On 3, Min-jun said, gripping one end of the shelf. 1, 2, 3. They lifted together. Min-jun's muscles screamed. The shelf was incredibly heavy and the angle made it awkward. But slowly, inch by inch, they raised it. Cena pulled the boy free with one hand while holding up the shelf with the other. As soon as the teenager was clear, they let the shelf drop. It hit the floor with a crash. The boy still wasn't moving. Cena checked for a pulse. "He's alive," Cena said. "Barely." Behind them, the apartment door burst into flames. The fire had reached this unit. They had maybe a minute before the whole place would be engulfed. "We need to move now," Min-jun said. Cena lifted the boy over his shoulders in a fireman's carry. The teenager was dead weight, unconscious. Cena staggered slightly under the load but kept his balance. They moved toward the window. The smoke was so thick now that Min-jun had to feel his way along the wall. The heat was unbearable. His gear was steaming. He could smell burning plastic and melting rubber. They reached the window. The platform was right there, just a few feet away. But as Min-jun climbed through, he heard a sound that made his blood run cold. A sharp crack, then a metallic groan. He looked up. One of the crane's support cables had snapped. The platform lurched violently to one side, tilting at a dangerous angle. Cena was trying to pass the unconscious teenager through the window, but the platform was swaying too much. If he let go of the boy now, the teenager would slide right off the tilted platform and fall 8 stories. The cable snapped. Ji-woo's panicked voice came through the radio. "I'm trying to stabilize it, but I don't know how long it will hold." Min-jun grabbed onto the railing with one hand and reached for the boy with the other. Cena was leaning out of the window, still holding the teenager. They needed to transfer him quickly but safely. "Pass him to me," Min-jun shouted over the noise. Slowly, Cena pushed the boy toward the platform. Min-jun grabbed his arm, then his shoulder. The platform tilted more. Min-jun's stomach dropped. They were going to fall. All 3 of them were going to fall, but Cena didn't let go. Even as the platform tilted, even as he was pulled halfway out of the window, Cena held onto that boy with an iron grip. "I've got him," Min-jun said. "Let go. You sure?" Cena shouted. "I'm sure." "Let go." Cena released the teenager. Min-jun pulled the boy fully onto the platform and laid him down as flat as possible on the tilted surface. The unconscious teenager slid slightly, but Min-jun held him firm. But the movement had consequences. As Cena let go of the boy, he lost his balance. He had been leaning too far out of the window. His hands slipped on the frame. Min-jun watched in horror as John Cena fell backward out of the window. He fell away from the building, away from the platform. His arms windmilled, trying to grab something, anything. For a moment, he was suspended in the air, silhouetted against the flames, then he dropped, 1 floor down. He reached out and caught a window ledge on the 7th floor. His fingers barely gripped the concrete. His body slammed against the building wall. "Cena!" Min-jun screamed. Down below, people were shouting. Captain Seo-yoon was yelling orders into her radio. Firefighters were running, dragging out emergency equipment. But Min-jun could see it from where he was. Cena's fingers were slipping. The wrestler was strong, but he had been in that heat for too long. His hands were burned from the fire. His strength was fading. "Hold on," Min-jun shouted down. "Just hold on." But even as he said it, he saw flames burst through the 7th floor window right next to where Cena was hanging. The fire was everywhere now. It was spreading too fast. Cena looked up at Min-jun. Even from this distance, even through the smoke, their eyes met for just a second. Cena's grip slipped another inch. He was going to fall, and this time, there would be nothing to catch him. John Cena's fingers slipped another inch on the 7th floor window ledge. His arms shook from the effort of holding his own weight. 8 stories below, people screamed. Min-jun watched from the tilted crane platform, helpless to do anything. Time seemed to slow down. Cena's left hand lost its grip completely. Now he was holding on with just his right hand. 4 fingers curled around concrete that was growing hot from the fire. His face showed strain but not panic. Even now, hanging from a burning building, he looked focused. "Airbag!" Captain Seo-yoon's voice cut through the chaos on the ground. "Get the airbag directly under him." "Move, move, move," firefighters scrambled. They dragged out a large yellow airbag, the kind used to catch people jumping from buildings. It was deflated, a flat rectangle of heavy fabric. They positioned it on the ground right below where Cena hung. "Inflate it," Seo-yoon commanded. Air pumps roared to life. The bag began to expand, filling with air rising off the ground. But it took time. 30 seconds. Maybe more. And Cena didn't have 30 seconds. Min-jun looked at the unconscious teenager on the platform beside him. The boy needed medical attention immediately. But Min-jun couldn't leave Cena hanging there. He grabbed his radio. "Ji-woo, can you move the platform to the 7th floor?" "Negative," Ji-woo's stressed voice replied. "The damaged cable can't handle any more movement. If I swing the platform, the whole thing might come down." Min-jun cursed under his breath. He looked down at Cena again. The wrestler's right hand was starting to slip now. His fingers straightened slightly, losing their curl around the ledge. The window next to Cena suddenly exploded outward. Glass and flames burst from the 7th floor apartment. The heat wave hit Cena like a physical blow. Min-jun saw him flinch, saw his body swing slightly from the impact. That movement was too much. Cena's fingers lost their grip. He fell, 2 stories. 20 feet. Cena dropped toward the ground in complete silence. He didn't scream. He didn't flail. His body turned slightly in the air, almost like he was trying to position himself for the impact. He hit the airbag hard. The yellow fabric compressed under his weight, absorbing the fall, but airbags weren't perfect. The impact still looked brutal. Cena bounced once, then rolled off the side of the bag onto the concrete. He didn't move. Paramedics rushed forward, surrounding him. Min-jun couldn't see anything through the crowd of first responders. His heart pounded. Please be alive. Please be okay. Min-jun. Seo-yun's voice crackled through his radio. Get that teenager down here now! Min-jun snapped back to focus. The boy on the platform beside him needed help. He radioed Ji-woo. Take us down. Careful with the damaged cable. The platform began its descent. It swayed more than before, the broken cable making everything unstable. Min-jun held onto the unconscious teenager with both arms, keeping him from sliding. The boy's face was pale. His breathing was shallow. Smoke inhalation, definitely. Maybe internal injuries, too, from being trapped under that bookshelf. The platform touched ground. Paramedics lifted the teenager onto a stretcher and rushed him toward an ambulance. Min-jun jumped off the platform and ran toward where he had seen Cena fall. A crowd of firefighters and medics surrounded the wrestler. Min-jun pushed through. Let me see him. I was up there with him. They made room. Min-jun saw Cena lying on his back on a stretcher. His eyes were closed. His face was covered in soot and ash. His hands were badly burned, red and blistered. But his chest was moving. He was breathing. A paramedic, a woman with kind eyes, was checking his vitals. Her name tag said Young-suk Han. She looked up at Min-jun. He's alive, she said. Unconscious but alive. Broken ribs for sure. Possible internal bleeding. 2nd-degree burns on his hands and arms. Severe smoke inhalation. But he'll make it. Min-jun felt relief wash over him like cool water. Thank God. As if hearing the conversation, Cena's eyes flickered open. He coughed hard, a rough, painful sound. His eyes were unfocused at first, then they found Min-jun. The kid, Cena rasped. His voice was barely a whisper. Junho. Is he okay? Min-jun blinked. How do you know his name? His wallet, Cena said, coughing again. Saw it when we pulled him out. Is he okay? They're taking him to the hospital now, Min-jun said. You saved his life. Cena tried to shake his head but winced in pain. We saved his life. Both of us. Young-suk put an oxygen mask over Cena's face. Stop talking. You need to breathe. We're taking you to the hospital. 2 other paramedics lifted Cena's stretcher and carried him toward an ambulance. Min-jun walked alongside them. Cena's eyes stayed open, watching the burning building as they moved him away. The 8th floor was completely engulfed now. Flames poured from multiple windows. Did everyone get out? Cena asked through his oxygen mask. Everyone on 8, Min-jun confirmed. Mrs. Lee and her kids, Mr. Sung, Junho, they're all out because of you. Cena closed his eyes. He looked exhausted. They loaded him into the ambulance. Young-suk climbed in beside him, along with another paramedic. Before they closed the door, she looked at Min-jun. You should get checked out too, she said. You were up there for a long time. Smoke inhalation can be serious. I'm fine, Min-jun said. Take care of him. The ambulance doors closed. The siren started and it pulled away, heading for the nearest hospital. Min-jun stood there for a moment, watching it go. Around him, firefighters continued to battle the blaze. More people were being brought out of the building. The fire would burn for hours more before they got it under control. Captain Seo-yun appeared beside him. Her face was streaked with soot and sweat. She looked tired but satisfied. That was either the bravest or the stupidest thing I've ever seen, she said. Which part? Min-jun asked. All of it, she said. Using a civilian. Going up on that crane. Staying behind on the ledge. Going into a second apartment. All of it was against every protocol we have. But it worked, Min-jun said. It worked, she agreed. 6 people are alive because you 2 ignored the rules. I should write you both up for that. Are you going to? She smiled slightly. No. I'm going to recommend Cena for a civilian commendation. And I'm putting you up for a Medal of Valor. Min-jun shook his head. I don't need a medal, too bad. You're getting one anyway. She walked away to direct more firefighting efforts. Min-jun looked back at the building. The fire was slowly being contained now. More trucks had arrived. More water was being poured onto the flames. They would save most of the building eventually. His radio crackled. Min-jun, you there? It was Ji-woo, the crane operator. Min-jun grabbed his radio. I'm here. You okay? I'm fine, Ji-woo said. Just shaken up. That cable snapping scared the life out of me. Is Mr. Cena all right? He will be, Min-jun said. You did good work up there. You kept us steady when it mattered. Thanks, Ji-woo said. He sounded relieved. I've never been so scared in my life. Min-jun understood that feeling completely. The rest of the night passed in a blur. More rescues, more evacuations. They brought out everyone who could be saved. The fire was finally controlled around 5 in the morning, just as the sun was starting to rise. Min-jun sat on the back of a fire truck drinking water and catching his breath. Other firefighters were doing the same. Everyone looked exhausted. It had been a long, hard night. A police officer approached him. Are you Min-jun Park? That's me, Min-jun said. The news wants to talk to you, the officer said. About the rescue. About John Cena. They're saying he's a hero. Min-jun looked over at the crowd of news cameras set up behind the police barriers. Reporters with microphones. Cameras with bright lights. Everyone wanting to know about the famous wrestler who helped rescue people from a fire. Not now, Min-jun said. I'm too tired. They're pretty insistent, the officer said. Then they can be insistent somewhere else, Captain Seo-yun said, appearing beside them. My crew needs rest. They can give statements later. The officer nodded and walked away. Seo-yun sat down on the truck beside Min-jun. The media is going to make this into a huge story, she said. Famous celebrity risks his life to save people. It'll be everywhere by tomorrow. He deserves the recognition, Min-jun said. He really did risk his life. He didn't have to climb back into that second apartment. He could have waited safely on the platform. But he didn't, Seo-yun said, because he saw someone who needed help and he couldn't ignore it. That's real courage, not the fake Hollywood kind. They sat in silence for a moment. The sun was fully up now. The building was still smoking but no longer burning. Police were setting up a perimeter. Investigators would need to determine what started the fire. Min-jun thought about Mrs. Lee and her children, about Mr. Sung with his broken leg, about the teenager Jun-ho, who had been trapped under that bookshelf. They were all alive. They would all recover. Because one man had stopped his car and asked how he could help. I should go to the hospital, Min-jun said. Check on everyone. Go home and sleep first, Seo-yun ordered. That's an order, not a suggestion. You've been on shift for 14 hours. You need rest, Min-jun wanted to argue, but she was right. He was exhausted. His body ached. His eyes burned. He needed sleep, fine, he agreed. But tomorrow I'm going to visit them. Tomorrow you can do whatever you want, Seo-yun said. You're off duty for 48 hours. You earned it. Min-jun headed home as the sun climbed higher in the sky. He lived in a small apartment about 20 minutes from the station. When he got there, he stripped off his gear and took a long, hot shower. The water ran black with soot and ash. He fell into bed without even drying off completely. Within seconds, he was asleep, but his dreams were full of fire, of smoke, of Cena hanging from that window ledge, fingers slipping, about to fall. Min-jun woke up several times, heart pounding, before finally giving up on sleep around noon. He turned on his phone. It had died during the fire, but now it was charging. When it powered on, it exploded with notifications, text messages, missed calls, social media alerts. He opened his news app. The fire was the top story. But it wasn't just about the fire. It was about John Cena. WWE star John Cena risks life in daring fire rescue. John Cena saves family from burning building. Wrestling hero becomes real-life hero. There were photos, grainy cell phone pictures taken by people in the crowd. Cena on the crane platform. Cena climbing through the window. Cena hanging from the 7th floor ledge. The moment he fell and hit the airbag, someone had captured the whole thing on video. Min-jun clicked play. He watched himself and Cena lifting the family out. He watched Cena standing on that narrow ledge. He watched the moment everything went wrong. The video had millions of views already. The comments were full of praise for Cena, people calling him a hero, saying he deserved an award, saying this proved he was more than just an entertainer. Min-jun put down his phone. He didn't need social media to tell him what he already knew. John Cena had been willing to die to save people he had never met. That was the definition of a hero. His phone rang. It was Captain Seo-yun. Did you sleep? She asked. A little. Minjun said. Good. I need to tell you something. Mrs. Lee woke up in the hospital. She's asking to meet the people who saved her. She doesn't know who John Cena is. She just knows that 2 men pulled her out of that fire. She wants to say thank you. When? Minjun asked. Later today if you're up for it. The hospital said Cena is stable too. Awake and talking. They're keeping him for observation, but he's going to be fine. I'll be there, Minjun said. He got dressed and drove to the hospital. It was a large medical center in downtown Los Angeles. When he arrived, there were news vans in the parking lot. Reporters everywhere. Hospital security was keeping them away from the entrance, but they were persistent. Minjun showed his ID to security and they let him through. Inside, a nurse directed him to the 4th floor where the fire victims were being treated. He took the elevator up. When the doors opened, he saw that the 4th floor was busy. Doctors and nurses moving between rooms. Family members sitting in the waiting area. Police officers taking statements. A doctor approached him. She was young, maybe in her 30s, with tired eyes. Her name tag identified her as Dr. Song. You're one of the firefighters from last night? She asked. Yes, ma'am, Minjun said. Minjun Park, I'm here to check on the people we brought out. Dr. Song smiled. They're all doing well, considering. Mrs. Lee and her children are in room 412. Mr. Sung is in 415. The teenager, Junho Kim, is in the ICU but stable. And your friend, Mr. Cena, is in 418. Thank you, Minjun said. He walked down the hall toward room 412. Through the open door, he could see Mrs. Lee sitting up in bed. Her 2 children were on the bed with her, curled up on either side. They all wore hospital gowns. They all looked much better than they had last night. Minjun knocked softly on the door frame. Mrs. Lee looked up and saw him. Her eyes filled with tears. She said something in Korean. Words Minjun didn't understand, but he understood the emotion behind them. Thank you, she said in English. Thank you for saving us. The little girl Minseo looked at Minjun and smiled. You're the firefighter. I remember you. That's right, Minjun said, stepping into the room. I'm glad you're all okay. Where is the other man? Mrs. Lee asked. The big man.
He carried me.
I want to thank him too. He's here, Minjun said. In another room. He got hurt during the rescue, but he's going to be fine. I must see him, Mrs. Lee insisted. My children, they must meet him. He saved our lives. Before Minjun could respond, there was movement in the hallway. A nurse was pushing a wheelchair. And sitting in the wheelchair wearing a hospital gown and with his hands bandaged was John Cena. He saw Minjun and grinned. There you are. I was wondering when you'd show up. John Cena looked different in a hospital gown and wheelchair. Without his usual confidence and physical presence, he seemed more human, more vulnerable. His hands were wrapped in thick white bandages. A breathing tube ran under his nose, giving him extra oxygen. But his eyes were alert and he was smiling. The nurse pushing his wheelchair was Young Suk, the same paramedic who had treated him at the fire scene. She looked tired but happy. He insisted on coming to meet everyone, Young Suk said, shaking her head. The doctor said he should rest, but Mr. Cena doesn't listen very well. I'm fine, Cena said, though his voice was still rough from the smoke. I just wanted to make sure everyone was okay. Mrs. Lee stared at Cena. Her face showed confusion at first, then recognition, then overwhelming gratitude. She carefully climbed out of bed, despite being weak, and walked toward him. Before anyone could stop her, she dropped to her knees beside his wheelchair. Thank you, she said, tears streaming down her face. Thank you for my children. Thank you for my life. Cena looked uncomfortable with the display of gratitude. He reached out with his bandaged hands, trying to help her up. Please don't kneel. You don't need to thank me. Anyone would have done the same thing. No, Mrs. Lee said firmly. Not anyone. You came back. When you were safe, you came back for the boy. You risked your life again. She's right, Minjun said quietly. Most people wouldn't have done what you did. The 2 children had climbed off the bed and approached cautiously. Min Seo, the 5-year-old, walked right up to Cena and hugged his leg. She didn't say anything. She just held on tight. Cena's tough expression softened. He put one bandaged hand gently on her head. Hey there, little one. You're a brave girl. You did good last night. Are your hands hurt? Min Seo asked, looking up at him. A little bit, Cena admitted, but they'll get better. Did the fire hurt you? She asked. The fire tried to, Cena said with a slight smile. but I'm tougher than fire. The 7-year-old boy, Dae-jung, stood back more reserved. But he was watching Cena with wide eyes full of admiration. Young-suk helped Mrs. Lee stand up and guided her back to her bed. You need to rest, she said gently. You're still recovering. What about Mr. Sung? Min-jun asked. And Junho? Can they have visitors? Mr. Sung is sleeping right now, Young-suk said. He had surgery on his leg this morning. But he's stable. Junho is awake in the ICU. He's doing better than we expected. I want to see him, Cena said. The kid from the bookshelf. Is he okay? He's weak but recovering, Young-suk replied. The smoke inhalation was severe, but he didn't have any serious injuries from the bookshelf. You got him out just in time. Can we see him? Cena asked. Young-suk hesitated. ICU has strict visiting rules. Only family usually. Please, Cena said. I need to see that he's okay. I need to know it was worth it, the nurse sighed. I'll ask the ICU nurse, but only for a few minutes. She wheeled Cena down the hall with Min-jun following. They took the elevator to the ICU on the 5th floor. The ICU was quieter, more serious. Machines beeped. Nurses moved silently between rooms. The ICU nurse was less sympathetic. She was an older woman with no patience for rule breaking. Her name tag said Nurse Kim. No non-family visitors in ICU, she said firmly. Hospital policy. I understand, Cena said politely. But I pulled that young man out of a burning building last night. I just need to see that he's okay. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Nurse Kim studied Cena's face. She clearly recognized him now. Her expression softened slightly. 5 minutes, she said, and you stay in the doorway. Don't disturb his rest. Thank you, Cena said. She led them to a room at the end of the hall. Through the glass window, Min-jun could see a teenage boy lying in bed. Oxygen mask over his face, IV lines in his arms, monitors tracking his heart rate and breathing. But he was awake. His eyes were open, staring at the ceiling. Nurse Kim opened the door quietly. Junho, you have visitors. Just for a moment. The teenager's head turned slowly. When he saw Cena in the wheelchair, confusion crossed his face. Do I know you? Junho asked weakly through his oxygen mask. No, Cena said, but I know you. I'm one of the people who got you out of that apartment. Junho's eyes widened. You saved me. We saved you, Cena corrected, nodding toward Min-jun. This firefighter and I, you were trapped under a bookshelf. Do you remember? Junho closed his eyes, thinking. I remember the fire starting. I was visiting my grandmother's neighbor. Then there was smoke everywhere. I couldn't find the door. Something fell on me. Then everything went black. You breathed in too much smoke and passed out, Min-jun explained. When we found you, you were unconscious. We got you out just before the fire reached that room. Tears formed in Junho's eyes. My family. Does my family know I'm okay? They're on their way, Nurse Kim said gently. They live in San Diego. They'll be here this afternoon. What about Mrs. Lee? Junho asked. And her kids? And Mr. Sung. Are they okay? They're all fine, Cena assured him. Everyone made it out. You're all going to recover. Junho looked at Cena for a long moment. Why did you save me? You're famous, right? I think I recognize your face. You're that wrestler. You could have been killed. Cena shook his head. I'm just a person, same as you. When someone needs help, you help them. That's all there is to it. But you didn't even know me, Junho said. Didn't matter. Cena replied simply, you needed help. I was there. End of story. Nurse Kim checked her watch. Time's up. He needs to rest. As they started to leave, Junho called out weakly, Wait, thank you. Both of you. I won't forget this, ever. Min-jun nodded. Cena gave him a small wave with his bandaged hand. Back in the hallway, Young-suk was waiting with the wheelchair. She looked at Cena critically. You're exhausted. Back to your room. Doctor's orders. I'm fine, Cena protested, but even Min-jun could see he was fading. The visit had taken a lot out of him. You have 3 cracked ribs, 2nd-degree burns, and smoke-damaged lungs, Young-suk said firmly. You are not fine. You are incredibly lucky to be alive. Now stop arguing and let me take you back to your room. Cena sighed but didn't argue further. Young-suk wheeled him back to the elevator. You should rest too, she told Min-jun. You look almost as bad as he does. I will, Min-jun promised. Back on the 4th floor, Young-suk took Cena to his room. It was a private room at the end of the hall. As they approached, Minjun saw several people waiting outside the door. Security guards. A woman in an expensive business suit with a phone pressed to her ear. A man with a large professional camera. The woman in the suit saw Cena and immediately ended her call. "John, thank God, we've been trying to reach you all morning. Your phone was destroyed in the fire. Who are they?" Minjun asked. "My team," Cena said with a sigh. "PR manager, security, photographer probably for some statement photos." The PR manager, whose name was Ms. Chen, immediately started talking. "John, this is huge. Every major news outlet wants to interview you. CNN, NBC, Fox, everyone. Social media is exploding. The story has 20 million views already. We need to plan a press conference. Control the narrative. Show the world that this wasn't a publicity stunt." "It wasn't a publicity stunt," Cena said, his voice hardening. "It was a fire. People needed help." "I know that," Ms. Chen said quickly. "But we need to make sure everyone else knows that too. There are already conspiracy theories online saying this was staged. We need to get ahead of this." "I don't care what people online think," Cena said. "I'm not doing a press conference. I'm not turning this into a media event." "John, you don't understand," Ms. Chen pressed. "This is the biggest story in the world right now. If you don't control how it's told, someone else will, and they might not tell the truth." Minjun stepped forward. He said no. "Maybe you should listen to him." Ms. Chen looked at Minjun like she was just noticing him for the first time. "And you are?" "Minjun Park, I was there. I helped with the rescue." Ms. Chen's eyes lit up. "Perfect. You can be part of the press conference too. First responder and celebrity working together. It's a great angle." "No," Minjun said flatly. "Excuse me?" I said no. "I'm not interested in being part of your media strategy. We saved some people from a fire. That's all. It doesn't need to be anything more than that." Ms. Chen looked frustrated, but before she could argue, Captain Seo Yun appeared at the end of the hallway. She walked toward them with purpose. "Is there a problem here?" Seo Yun asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. "No problem," Ms. Chen said quickly. "Just trying to coordinate media coverage for Mr. Cena's heroic actions." "Mr. Cena needs rest," Seo Yun said firmly. "As does my firefighter. The media can wait. The mayor wants to hold a ceremony," Ms. Chen said, "to honor everyone involved. First responders and Mr. Cena. It would be good press for the city, for the fire department, for everyone." Seo Yun considered this. "A ceremony for first responders is appropriate. If Mr. Cena wants to attend, that's his choice. But it's not a press conference. It's a recognition ceremony." "There's a difference. When?" Cena asked. "Next week," Seo Yun said. "That gives everyone time to recover. The mayor's office will coordinate it." "I'll be there," Cena said. "Good," Seo Yun replied. Then she looked at Ms. Chen. "But until then, Mr. Cena is left alone. No interviews, no photos, no statements. He needs to heal." "Understood?" Ms. Chen looked like she wanted to argue, but something in Seo Yun's expression stopped her. "Understood. Excellent," Seo Yun said. She turned to Minjun. "You, home, sleep. I'm not asking." Minjun smiled slightly. "Yes, Captain." As he left the hospital, Minjun noticed the reporters were still gathered outside. They saw him leaving and rushed forward with microphones and cameras. "Are you one of the firefighters from last night? Can you tell us about John Cena? Is it true he fell from the building? Did he really save a family?" Minjun pushed through them without answering. He got in his car and drove away. In his rearview mirror, he could see them running back to their news vans, probably disappointed they didn't get a statement. His phone rang. It was his sister, Hae-won. "Are you okay?" she asked immediately. "I saw the news. They said a firefighter and John Cena rescued people from a burning building." "Was that you?" "Yeah," Minjun admitted. "That was me. Are you hurt?" "I'm fine. Just tired. You're coming to dinner tonight," Hae-won said. It wasn't a question. "Mom and Dad want to see you. They're worried." Minjun was too exhausted to argue. "What time?" 7 o'clock. "Don't be late," she hung up. Minjun drove home, took another shower, and slept until 6:30. When he woke up, his whole body ached. His muscles were sore. His throat hurt from the smoke. But he was alive, and so was everyone he had helped rescue. That evening, he went to his parents' house for dinner. His mother hugged him so tight he could barely breathe. His father, usually stoic and reserved, had tears in his eyes. "We're proud of you." his father said simply. Over dinner, they asked him about what happened. Min-jun told them the story, leaving out the most dangerous parts. He didn't mention hanging from the crane platform with a snapped cable. He didn't mention watching Cena fall. He just told them about the rescue, about the family, about how everyone survived. This John Cena, his mother said. He's a good man. Famous people usually don't risk themselves like that. He is a good man, Min-jun agreed. He didn't hesitate. Not even once. His sister was scrolling through her phone. The video has 30 million views now. Everyone's talking about it. People are calling him a real-life superhero. He's not a superhero, Min-jun said. He's just someone who saw people in trouble and decided to help. That's what anyone should do. But most people don't, his father pointed out. Most people would have driven past that fire and let the professionals handle it. Maybe, Min-jun said. But Cena didn't. And because of that, 6 people are alive today. After dinner, Min-jun went home and tried to sleep, but his mind kept replaying the events of that night. The flames. The smoke. The moment when Cena climbed back into that apartment to save Junho. The sight of him hanging from that window ledge about to fall. Over the next few days, the story only grew bigger. News outlets around the world covered it. Talk shows discussed it. Social media was flooded with posts praising Cena. Someone even started a petition to give him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, but Cena stayed silent. He didn't give interviews. He didn't post on social media. He just stayed in the hospital recovering. Min-jun visited him twice more before he was discharged. They didn't talk much, just sat in comfortable silence, 2 men who had shared an extraordinary experience. On the 3rd day, Cena was released from the hospital. The doctors said he was healing well. The burns on his hands would leave scars, but he would regain full function. His ribs would heal in 6 weeks. His lungs would recover with time and rest. Min-jun was there when Cena left the hospital. There were cameras everywhere, of course. Reporters shouting questions, fans holding signs, security guards forming a barrier. Cena walked out with his hands still bandaged, moving slowly but steadily. He stopped at the microphones briefly. I want to thank the doctors and nurses here for taking excellent care of me and the other survivors, he said, his voice still rough. I also want to thank the Los Angeles Fire Department, especially Captain Seo-yoon Kim and firefighter Min-jun Park, whose courage and professionalism saved many lives that night. They are the real heroes. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Thank you. Then he got into a waiting car and left. The whole statement took less than 30 seconds. But it was enough. The ceremony was scheduled for the following week, as Captain Seo-yoon had said. Min-jun didn't want to go, but it wasn't optional. It was an order. The ceremony was held at City Hall on a bright Saturday morning. Min-jun arrived early, wearing his dress uniform. He felt uncomfortable. He didn't like attention. He was the kind of firefighter who preferred to do his job quietly and go home. But today that wasn't an option. The main hall was already filling up with people. Rows of chairs faced a small stage with a podium. Camera crews set up equipment along the walls. Photographers jostled for position. This was bigger than Min-jun had expected. Captain Seo-yoon found him near the entrance. She also wore her dress uniform, medals pinned to her chest. She looked more comfortable with the attention than Min-jun felt. Ready for this? She asked. Not really, Min-jun admitted. Too bad, she said with a slight smile. You earned this. Accepted gracefully. Other firefighters from that night were there too. Ji-woo, the crane operator, looked nervous in his suit. He kept adjusting his tie. Other members of Min-jun's crew were scattered throughout the hall, some sitting with their families. Have you seen Cena? Min-jun asked. Not yet, Seo-yoon replied. He's probably coming in through a private entrance to avoid the crowd outside. Outside, hundreds of people had gathered. News had spread about the ceremony. Fans wanted to see John Cena. Media wanted their story. Curious citizens wanted to witness history. Police had set up barriers to control the crowd. Min-jun saw Mrs. Lee enter the hall with her 2 children. They looked so different from that night in the burning building. Mrs. Lee wore a simple but elegant dress. Her children were in their best clothes, hair neatly combed. Min-seo, the 5-year-old, was holding her mother's hand tightly. Behind them came Mr. Sung in a wheelchair, his broken leg still in a cast. A younger woman, probably his daughter, pushed his chair, and walking slowly but steadily beside them was Junho. The teenager looked thin and pale, but he was alive. He was walking. He was here. When Mrs. Lee saw Min-jun, she immediately walked over. Her children followed. "Mr. Park," she said, taking his hand in both of hers. "Thank you for being here." "Of course," Min-jun said. "How are you feeling? How are the children?" "We are good," Mrs. Lee replied, "strong. Because of you and Mr. Cena, we are alive. We are together." Min-seo tugged on Min-jun's uniform pants. When he looked down, she held up a piece of paper. It was a drawing. Stick figures with big smiles. A fire truck. A building with orange and red flames. And 2 larger stick figures with capes. "I drew this for you," she said shyly. "You and Mr. Cena, you're superheroes." Min-jun took the drawing carefully. His throat tightened with emotion. "Thank you. This is beautiful. I'll keep it forever." Dae-jung, the 7-year-old, stood straighter and spoke clearly. "When I grow up, I want to be a firefighter like you." "That's a good goal," Min-jun said seriously. "Work hard in school. Stay strong. Help people when you can. That's how you become a firefighter." Junho approached more slowly. He extended his hand formally. "Mr. Park, I owe you my life." "I don't have words big enough to thank you." Min-jun shook his hand. "You don't need big words. Just live well, be happy. That's thanks enough." "I've been thinking," Junho said, "about what happened, about how close I came to dying, about how you and Mr. Cena risked everything to save me, someone you didn't even know." "That's the job," Min-jun said simply. "Maybe," Junho replied, "but it's more than that. You showed me what real courage looks like, what it means to help others even when it's hard, even when it's dangerous. I want to live my life like that. I've decided to train to become a firefighter." Min-jun felt pride swell in his chest. "Then I look forward to working with you someday." The mayor arrived, surrounded by assistants and security. He was a tall man in his 50s with a politician's smile. He worked the room, shaking hands, taking photos, making small talk. When he saw Min-jun, he came over immediately. "Firefighter Park," the mayor said warmly. "Thank you for your service. What you did that night was extraordinary." "Just doing my job, sir," Min-jun replied. "Nonsense," the mayor said. "Going up on that crane with a civilian, making multiple trips into a burning building, that's above and beyond any job description. The city is proud of you." Before Min-jun could respond, there was movement at the side entrance. Security guards entered first, then John Cena walked in. He looked different than he had at the hospital. Healthier, stronger. He wore a dark suit that fit perfectly. His hands were still bandaged, but the bandages were thinner now. He walked without hesitation, though Min-jun noticed he moved a bit more carefully than usual. The room went quiet for a moment. Everyone turned to look. Then someone started clapping, then another. Soon the entire hall was applauding. Cena looked surprised by the reaction. He smiled and waved, but seemed uncomfortable with the attention. He spotted Min-jun and walked over, navigating through the crowd that was trying to stop him for photos and handshakes. "Min-jun," Cena said. Extending his bandaged hand, Min-jun shook it carefully. "How are you feeling?" "Better," Cena said. "Still sore?" "Hands are healing. But I'm alive, so I'm not complaining." "Good to see you up and around. Good to be up and around." Mrs. Lee approached with her children. When she saw Cena, she bowed deeply, a traditional Korean sign of respect. "Mr. Cena, thank you. Thank you for everything." Cena bowed back, less practiced but sincere. "No thanks needed. I'm just glad you and your family are safe." Min-seo walked up to Cena and hugged his leg again, just like she had at the hospital. Cena put his bandaged hand on her head gently. "Hey there, little hero," he said softly. "You doing okay?" She nodded but didn't let go. Her brother, Dae-jung, held out another drawing. This one showed Cena specifically, drawn with exaggerated muscles and a big smile. "I made this for you," the boy said. Cena took it carefully. He studied it seriously. "This is amazing. You're a talented artist. Can I keep this?" Dae-jung nodded enthusiastically. Junho approached next. He looked nervous but determined. "Mr. Cena, I wanted to thank you. You saved my life when you didn't have to. You came back into that fire for me. You would have done the same for someone else," Cena said. "I could see it in you. You're strong. You're a survivor." "Because of you," Junho said. "No," Cena corrected gently. "Because of yourself. We just gave you the chance to prove it." The mayor's assistant announced that the ceremony would begin. Everyone found their seats. Min-jun, Cena, Captain Seo-yun, Ji-woo, and several other firefighters from that night were directed to seats in the front row. The mayor took the podium. Cameras flashed. He began his speech talking about bravery, about community, about the importance of first responders. He spoke well, his words practiced and polished. But Min-jun could tell Cena was as uncomfortable as he was with all the formal attention. Today we honor those who, on a terrible night, showed us the best of humanity, the mayor said. When others ran from danger, these individuals ran toward it. When others thought only of themselves, these people thought only of saving others. He called up Captain Seo-yun first. She walked to the stage with military precision. The mayor presented her with a medal and a certificate. She accepted it formally, shook his hand, and returned to her seat without saying a word. Ji-woo was next. The young crane operator looked terrified on stage. His hand shook as he accepted his recognition. But when the mayor praised his steady hands and quick thinking that night, Ji-woo stood a little taller. Other firefighters were called up one by one. Each received a Medal of Valor. Each shook the mayor's hand. Each returned to thunderous applause. Then it was Min-jun's turn. Firefighter Min-jun Park, the mayor announced, for exceptional courage and leadership in the face of extreme danger, for going above and beyond the call of duty, and for saving multiple lives at great personal risk. The city of Los Angeles presents you with the Medal of Valor. Min-jun walked to the stage. His legs felt unsteady. He had fought fires, climbed into burning buildings, faced danger countless times in his career. But standing on this stage with hundreds of people watching felt more frightening than any of that. The mayor hung the medal around his neck and shook his hand. "Thank you for your service," he said quietly, sincerely. Min-jun nodded and returned to his seat. The medal felt heavy around his neck. Finally, the mayor called John Cena. "Mr. John Cena," the mayor began, and the applause was immediate and overwhelming. A private citizen who, upon seeing danger, did not hesitate to offer his help. A man who risked his life multiple times to save strangers. A man who embodies the spirit of courage and selflessness. The city of Los Angeles is honored to present you with the Civilian Medal of Valor, our highest honor for a non-first responder. Cena walked to the stage. He moved slowly, and Min-jun could see he was still in pain. But he walked tall, shoulders back, meeting the mayor's eyes steadily. The mayor placed the medal around Cena's neck. They shook hands. Then the mayor stepped back, offering Cena the microphone. Cena looked at it for a moment. Then he took it. "Thank you," he said, his voice carrying through the hall. "This is a great honor. But I need to be clear about something. I am not a hero." The room went quiet. "The heroes are sitting right there," Cena continued, pointing to the firefighters in the front row. Captain Seo-yun Kim, who commanded the operation and made the tough decisions that saved lives. Ji-woo Choi, who operated that crane with skill and courage. Min-jun Park, who went into that fire again and again, who never gave up, who saved person after person without thought for his own safety. And all the other firefighters who were there that night, battling a massive blaze, doing their jobs with excellence and bravery. He paused, letting his words sink in. "I did what anyone should do when they see someone in trouble. I helped. That's not heroism. That's basic humanity. These firefighters," he gestured to them again, "they do this every single day. They run into danger when others run away. They save lives as their job. They are the real heroes." The applause started slowly, then built. The firefighters looked uncomfortable but proud. "I also want to recognize the survivors," Cena said. "Mrs. Hai-jin Lee and her children, Mr. Tae-young Sung, Junho Kim. You all fought to survive that night. You all showed incredible courage. You kept your family safe. You signaled for help. You didn't give up. That takes real strength." Mrs. Lee was crying now. Junho wiped his eyes. Mr. Sung sat straighter in his wheelchair. Finally, Cena said, "I want to announce something. I'm donating $500,000 to the Los Angeles Fire Department for new equipment and training. Because these men and women deserve the best tools possible to do their impossible job." The applause was thunderous now. Captain Seo-yun looked shocked. The mayor was grinning widely. "I'm also establishing a fund to help the families displaced by that fire," Cena continued, "to help them rebuild their lives, to help them find homes, to help them move forward, because saving them that night was just the beginning. They deserve a future, and we can help provide it." He handed the microphone back to the mayor and returned to his seat. The applause continued for a full minute. The mayor concluded the ceremony with a few more words, but Min-jun barely heard them. He was thinking about what Cena had said, about how he had deflected all the praise to others, about how he had turned his moment of recognition into support for first responders and fire victims. After the ceremony, there was a reception in an adjacent room. Food and drinks were served. People mingled. Media conducted interviews. Min-jun stood in a corner hoping to avoid attention, but Mrs. Lee found him. She held her children's hands. "I want my children to remember this day," she said. "I want them to remember the men who saved us. So when they are older, they will know what real courage looks like. They will know what it means to help others. I hope they have peaceful lives," Min-jun said. "I hope they never need to be rescued again." "We have lives because of you," Mrs. Lee said simply. "Whatever we do with those lives, it starts with your courage." Throughout the reception, person after person approached Min-jun and Cena. Some wanted photos. Some wanted to share their own stories. Some just wanted to say thank you for showing that heroism still existed in the world. Cena handled it all with grace, though Min-jun could see the exhaustion building in his eyes. Finally, after 2 hours, Cena's security team began moving him toward the exit. Before he left, Cena found Min-jun one more time. "Stay in touch," Cena said, pulling out a phone. "Let's exchange numbers. I want to know how everyone's doing. The families, Jun-ho, all of them. They exchanged contact information." "You did good," Min-jun said. "What you said during your speech, what you're doing with the donation and the fund, that's going to make a real difference." "I hope so," Cena said, "because you're right. Saving them that night was just the beginning. They need help to rebuild. We can provide that help." They shook hands one more time. Then Cena left, surrounded by security, disappearing into the crowd outside. Min-jun stayed for another hour, talking with his fellow firefighters, checking on the families, accepting congratulations from strangers. Finally, as the reception wound down, he slipped out a side exit and went home. The medal sat on his kitchen table. He looked at it for a long time. It was just a piece of metal and ribbon, but it represented something bigger. It represented a night when everything went right despite everything going wrong. A night when strangers became heroes. A night when one person's decision to stop and help created a ripple effect that saved multiple lives. Min-jun's phone buzzed. A text message. From Cena. "Thank you for having my back that night. You're the real hero. Stay safe out there," Min-jun smiled and typed back. "We both did what needed to be done. That's all. Rest well. Take care of those hands." He put his phone down and looked at the drawing Min-seo had given him. The stick figures with capes. The smiling faces. The fire truck in the burning building. It was crude, childish, beautiful. He hung it on his refrigerator. Outside, the sun was setting. Somewhere in Los Angeles, another fire might start. Another emergency might happen. Another family might need help. And Min-jun would be ready, because that was his job. That was his calling. But tonight, for just a little while, he could rest. He could remember. He could be grateful that everyone survived. He could be thankful for a famous wrestler who stopped his car and asked how he could help. He could appreciate a young crane operator who kept them steady. He could honor a captain who made tough decisions. And he could recognize that sometimes, when everything seems impossible, courage and determination can create miracles. 6 months passed like water flowing downstream. The burned building was demolished and construction began on something new. The news cycle moved on to other stories. The viral videos were replaced by newer viral videos. The world kept turning as it always does. But for the people involved that night, everything had changed. Min-jun returned to his regular shifts at the fire station. He fought fires, rescued people, saved lives. It was his job and he did it well. But after that night with Cena, something was different. His crew looked at him differently, not with more respect exactly, but with a deeper understanding. They knew what he was capable of when everything was on the line. The medal sat in a drawer at home. He rarely looked at it. But Min-seo's drawing stayed on his refrigerator, a daily reminder of why he did what he did. John Cena had returned to his regular life too. He was wrestling again, making movies again, doing charity work again. But Min-jun knew from their occasional text messages that the fire had changed him too. Cena had always worked with charities and helped people, but now there was something more urgent in how he approached that work, something more personal. The $500,000 donation to the fire department had been spent wisely. New breathing equipment, better protective gear, advanced training programs. Captain Seo Yun made sure every dollar went where it would do the most good. The fund for displaced families had helped more than just the people from that specific fire. It had grown with other donors adding money. It helped dozens of families find new homes after fires destroyed their old ones. It paid for counseling, for job training, for school supplies for children who lost everything. Mrs. Lee had been one of the first recipients. She now had a new apartment in a safer building. She had a job. Her children were thriving in school. It was a Saturday afternoon in April when Minjun's phone rang. He was off duty, relaxing at home when he saw the caller ID. John Cena. "Hey," Minjun answered. "How's it going?" "Good," Cena said. He sounded happy. "Really good. I'm actually in Los Angeles right now. Got a show at the Staples Center tonight, but I was thinking, would you want to grab dinner? I'd like to catch up." "Sure," Minjun said. "Where and when?" They met at a small Korean restaurant in Koreatown. It was the kind of place that didn't look fancy from the outside but served incredible food. When Minjun arrived, Cena was already there, sitting in a back booth away from the windows. He wore a baseball cap and sunglasses, trying to stay unrecognized. "Thanks for coming," Cena said as Minjun slid into the booth. "Thanks for the invitation," Minjun replied. "How are the hands?" Cena held up his hands. The burns had healed into smooth, shiny scars. "Barely noticed them now. Full range of motion, no pain. I got lucky, they ordered food." As they waited, they talked about simple things: work, life, the weather. It was comfortable, easy conversation between two people who had shared something extraordinary. When the food arrived, Cena got more serious. "I've been thinking about that night a lot," he said. "About the choices we made. About how close everything came to going wrong." "Me too," Minjun admitted. "If that cable hadn't snapped when it did, we might have gotten Junho down safely without me falling," Cena said. "But then again, if I hadn't gone into that second apartment, Junho would have died. If you hadn't been willing to go up on that crane with me, Mrs. Lee and her family would have died. Every choice mattered." "Every choice always matters," Minjun said. "That's what I've learned doing this job. Small decisions become big outcomes. Being in the right place at the right time. Choosing to help instead of looking away." "You ever regret it?" Cena asked. "Going up there with me? It was dangerous. You could have been killed." "Never," Minjun said without hesitation. "Those people needed help. We helped them." "That's all that matters," Cena smiled. "That's exactly what I knew you'd say." They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then Cena spoke again. "I wanted to tell you something. The fund we set up, the one for fire victims, it's doing really well. We've helped over 50 families so far. But I want to expand it, make it national. Help fire victims all over the country." "That's ambitious," Minjun said. "I've got the resources," Cena said, "and I've got the platform. What I need is the expertise. I need someone who understands what fire victims actually need. Someone who's been there. Someone they'll trust." He looked at Minjun directly. "I'm not asking you to quit your job," Cena continued, "but I'm asking if you'd be willing to consult. Help us figure out how to do this right. Make sure the money goes where it actually helps." Minjun was quiet for a moment. It was a big ask, but it was also an opportunity to help more people than he could ever reach as one firefighter. "I'll think about it," Minjun said. "Talk to my captain. See if the department would support it." "That's all I'm asking," Cena said. "Just think about it." They finished dinner and walked out together. It was getting dark. The streetlights were coming on. "You want to come to the show tonight?" Cena asked. "I've got tickets. Front row seats," Minjun laughed. "I appreciate the offer, but wrestling isn't really my thing." "No offense, none taken," Cena said, grinning. "But the offer stands. Anytime you want to see what I do for my day job, let me know." They shook hands and parted ways. Minjun drove home thinking about Cena's proposal. Helping with the fund would mean meetings, planning, coordinating. It would mean time away from firefighting. But it would also mean helping more people. He decided to talk to Captain Seo Yun about it. The next Monday, he met with her in her office. "Cena wants you to help with his charity?" she asked after he explained. "Yes," Minjun said. "Consulting. Helping them understand what fire victims need." Seo Yun leaned back in her chair, thinking, "It's a good cause." And you'd be good at it. You understand the trauma, the displacement, the rebuilding process. But, Minjun asked, hearing the hesitation in her voice. But I don't want to lose you, Seo-yun said honestly. You're one of my best firefighters. The crew trusts you. You're valuable here. I'm not leaving, Minjun assured her. Just consulting. A few hours a week at most. Then you have my support, Seo-yun said. Make it work with your schedule. And if it helps more people, then it's worth doing. Minjun texted Cena that night. I'm in. Let's help some families. Cena's response was immediate. Perfect. I'll set up a meeting with the fund managers. Thank you. Over the next few months, Minjun worked with Cena's team to expand the fund. They developed better systems for identifying families who needed help. They created partnerships with local fire departments across the country. They set up counseling services for trauma survivors. They built networks of support that went far beyond just giving money. During one of their planning meetings, held via video call, Cena mentioned something interesting. I got a call from Junho last week, he said. Yeah? Minjun perked up. How's he doing? Really well, Cena said, smiling. He's been volunteering with a local fire department. Junior firefighter program. He's serious about this. He wants to make it his career. That's great, Minjun said, feeling proud. Kid's got courage. He asked if he could intern at your station this summer, Cena continued. I told him I'd ask you first. Of course, Minjun said immediately. I'd be honored to have him. That summer, Junho showed up at the fire station on his first day wearing oversized gear and a nervous smile. He was 18 now, preparing for his final year of high school. He had filled out since the fire, was stronger and healthier, but Minjun could still see the scared teenager who had been trapped under that bookshelf. Ready to work? Minjun asked. Yes, sir, Junho said firmly. He was a good intern. Eager to learn, willing to do any task no matter how small or dirty. He watched everything with sharp, observant eyes. He asked smart questions. The crew liked him. One night during a quiet shift, Junho sat with Minjun in the station kitchen. Can I ask you something? Junho said. Sure, Minjun replied. Do you ever get scared? When you go into a burning building? Minjun thought about it. Yes, every time. Junho looked surprised. Really, but you seem so calm. So confident. That's training, Minjun explained. That's experience. But underneath, there's always fear. Fear is natural. It's what keeps you alert, what keeps you careful. The trick is not letting the fear control you. You acknowledge it, then you do your job anyway. How do you learn that? Junho asked. Practice, Minjun said. Time, and remembering why you do this job in the first place. To save people, Junho said. Exactly. When you focus on the people who need help, your own fear becomes less important. Not gone, just less important. Junho nodded, absorbing this wisdom. By the end of summer, Junho was accepted into the fire academy for the following year. He would start training right after high school graduation. Captain Seo-yun had written him a strong letter of recommendation. So had Minjun. In September, Minjun got a call from Mrs. Lee. She sounded excited. Mr. Park, I wanted to tell you something. She said, I passed my citizenship test. I am officially an American citizen now. Congratulations, Minjun said warmly. That's wonderful. I wanted to thank you, Mrs. Lee continued, for giving me the chance to become a citizen, for giving my children the chance to grow up here. If you had not saved us that night, none of this would be possible. You did the hard work, Minjun said. You studied. You learned. You built a new life. That was all you. But you gave me the opportunity, she insisted. I will never forget that. Her children were doing well too. Min Eseo was excelling in first grade. Daejung was at the top of his third grade class. They both talked about becoming helpers when they grew up. Maybe doctors, maybe teachers, maybe firefighters. They hadn't decided yet. But they wanted to help people, the way people had helped them. In October, Cena came back to Los Angeles. This time it wasn't for work. It was personal. He wanted to visit the completed building that had been rebuilt where the fire had occurred. Minjun met him there. The new building was beautiful, modern, safe. It had the latest fire suppression systems. Multiple exits, fireproof materials, everything the old building had lacked. Mrs. Lee lives here now, Cena said. Did you know that? No, Minjun said, surprised. The fund helped her get an apartment here. Fresh start, safe building, Good schools nearby for her kids. They went up to the 8th floor. The hallway was clean and bright. Nothing like that smoky, terrifying corridor from that night. They found Mrs. Lee's apartment. Cena knocked. Mrs. Lee opened the door. When she saw them, her face lit up with joy. "Mr. Cena, Mr. Park. Please come in, come in." The apartment was small but comfortable. Family photos on the walls. Children's drawings on the refrigerator. The smell of cooking food in the air. It was a home. Min-seo and Dae-jung came running when they saw who was visiting. They hugged both men enthusiastically. They were bigger now, older, but still the same sweet children. "We learned new English," Min-seo announced proudly. "Want to hear?" "Of course," Cena said, kneeling down to her level. She recited a poem she had memorized for school. Her pronunciation was careful, deliberate. When she finished, both men applauded. "Beautiful," Cena said. "You're doing great." Dae-jung showed them his science project about the solar system. He had built a model with painted balls and wire. It was impressive work. Mrs. Lee served tea and homemade cookies. They sat in her living room talking about school, work, life. It was normal, comfortable, peaceful. "I think about that night often," Mrs. Lee said. "I think about how close we came to losing everything. Not just our home, our lives, our future. And then I look at my children happy and healthy, and I am grateful every single day." "We're grateful too," Cena said. "Grateful we were there. Grateful we could help. Grateful you're all doing so well." As they left, Min-jun felt a profound sense of satisfaction. This was why he did his job, not for medals or recognition, but for moments like this. Families safe, children thriving, lives continuing. Outside, Cena stood looking up at the building. "You know what I realized?" he said. "That night changed my life as much as it changed theirs." "How so?" Min-jun asked. "Before that night, I helped people through my work. Charity events, Make-A-Wish, supporting troops. It was good work, important work. But it was abstract. I wrote checks. I showed up for photo opportunities. I did my part." He paused, collecting his thoughts. "But that night I actually saved lives. With my own hands, my own effort, my own risk. And it made me realize that all the other stuff, while important, isn't the same as direct action. Since then, I've been trying to be more involved, more present, more willing to get my hands dirty, literally and figuratively." "You were always a good person," Min-jun said. "That night just showed you what you were capable of." "Maybe," Cena agreed. "But it also showed me what ordinary people are capable of. You Jiwoo, all those firefighters. You risk your lives every day for strangers. You don't do it for fame or money. You do it because it needs to be done. That's real heroism." They walked to their cars in silence. Before they parted, Cena spoke one more time. "Stay in touch," he said. "Let's not let another 6 months go by without talking." "Deal," Min-jun said. Over the next few months, they kept that promise. Text messages every few weeks, occasional phone calls, updates on the fund, on the families they had helped, on life in general. In December, Min-jun got a text from Cena with a photo attached. It was Junho, wearing a Fire Academy training uniform, giving a thumbs up. The caption read, "He sent me this. Says his first week at the academy is going great. Thought you'd want to see." Min-jun smiled and saved the photo. He texted back, "Proud of that kid. He's going to be a great firefighter." A few days later, another text from Cena. "The fund helped its 200th family this week. 200 families have new homes, new starts, new hope. None of that happens without that night. Without you." Min-jun didn't know how to respond to that. Finally, he typed, "None of it happens without all of us. You, me, the firefighters, the donors, everyone who helped. That's what makes it work. People helping people." On Christmas Eve, Min-jun was working a shift at the station. It was usually a quiet night. Families at home celebrating. But around 8 p.m. the alarm went off. House fire, family trapped. Min-jun and his crew rushed to the scene. It was a small house in a residential neighborhood. Flames were visible from the windows. A woman was outside screaming. Her 2 children were still inside. Min-jun didn't hesitate. He went in with 2 other firefighters. The smoke was thick, the heat intense, but they found the children quickly, hiding in a bedroom closet. Min-jun carried one, his partner carried the other. They brought them out safely. The mother was hysterical with relief. She hugged her children, crying. The house was badly damaged, but everyone was alive. As Minjun was packing up gear, the mother approached him. "Thank you," she said simply. "Thank you for saving my babies." "Just doing my job, ma'am," Minjun replied. "I don't have much," she said. "We lost almost everything in the fire. But I want you to know what you did tonight. I'll never forget it. My children will never forget it." Minjun thought about Mrs. Lee, about Junho, about all the people whose lives had been changed by one night of courage and cooperation. "There's a fund that helps families after fires," Minjun said. "Let me give you the information. They can help you get back on your feet." He wrote down the contact information for Cena's fund. The woman took it gratefully. Back at the station, Minjun texted Cena about the family. "Just helped another family. Gave them the fund info. They're going to need it." Cena responded within minutes. "That's what it's all about. Helping the next person. Then the next. One at a time. Making a difference." Minjun sat in the station kitchen, drinking coffee, thinking about everything that had happened since that night 6 months ago. One decision to stop and help. One choice to be brave when it would have been easier to stay safe. And from that one choice, a ripple effect that was still spreading. The fund had helped 200 families. Junho was training to be a firefighter. Mrs. Lee was a citizen with a good home and happy children. New fire safety equipment was saving lives. A network of support was growing across the country, all because a firefighter and a wrestler decided to work together to save some lives. Minjun's phone buzzed again. Another text from Cena. "Just got confirmation that the fund is being expanded to Canada next year. We're going international with this. Thank you for believing in this project. Thank you for your expertise. Thank you for that night." Minjun typed back. "Thank you for stopping your car and asking how you could help." That's where it all started. Cena's final message of the night was simple. That's where it started. But it's not where it ends. This is just the beginning. Minjun smiled. He put his phone away and looked around the fire station. His crew was relaxing, watching TV, playing cards. Tomorrow they would respond to more emergencies. They would save more lives. They would do their jobs with courage and skill. And somewhere families were safe because of the work they did. Children were growing up because firefighters ran into danger. Lives were continuing because people chose to help. That was enough. That was everything. Minjun finished his coffee and joined his crew. They dealt him into the card game. They joked and laughed. They enjoyed the quiet moment, knowing it might not last. Knowing the next alarm could sound at any moment, but when it did, they would be ready. They would run toward the danger. They would save who they could save. They would do their jobs because that's what heroes do. Not for recognition, not for glory, but because people need help. And when people need help, you help them. That's the lesson John Cena taught Minjun that night. Or maybe it's the lesson Minjun taught Cena. Or maybe they taught each other. It doesn't really matter who taught whom. What matters is the lesson itself. When you see someone in trouble, you help. Even when it's hard, even when it's dangerous, even when it would be easier to look away. You help. Because that's what makes us human. That's what makes us heroes. Not superhuman abilities or perfect courage, just the simple choice to help when help is needed. And from that one simple choice, everything else follows. Everything.